Buenos noches, y'all. RGT85 here. Hope everyone had a great weekend, but we're starting out this week with a bit of a weird story. It's something that I feel is starting to manifest into its own whole sort of big thing, and I'm not quite sure why. Now, you might have noticed last night on Twitter, that being Sunday night, which is actually when I'm recording this video, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was actually trending. And I mean, maybe it was trending because a lot of places had it on sale for Black Friday for $30 or less. That could be one of the reasons, but no, that actually wasn't the main reason. Why? Because it wasn't necessarily about Breath of the Wild. It was about Breath of the Wild 2 and a supposed leak about this thing. Now, I've seen lots of YouTubers talking about this, and they all seem to have sort of similar mindsets when it comes to this leak, but I'm kind of a completely different mindset, a completely opposite mindset. I have no beef with anyone who thinks otherwise. Maybe you'll agree with them, maybe you'll agree with me, but we need to talk about this Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 leak, why it might be true and come to fruition, and more importantly, why it probably won't. So if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like and share the video. I'm having to use new video editing software to actually record this because everything just decided to take a dump on me yesterday. That was a great day. That was a great day. But without any further ado, let's get into this Breath of the Wild 2 leak. So what is this all stemming from? What has everyone wrestling their jimmies that Breath of the Wild 2 is going to have something big before the end of the year? Well, it of course involves Jeff Keighley and the good old Game Awards. You know, that award show that's awarding Cyberpunk as one of the best RPGs of 2021, even though the game came out in 2020 and it was a broken mess like I said it was going to be. And there was going to be problems, and it's still not fixed, and there's still lots of issues with the game. And of course, the next gen version, who knows when that's coming. Remember the online multiplayer? Because that was supposed to be a thing too in that game, but you know, I digress. There's evidently people who still love this game, so it is indeed in the award show. Of course, when you look at the list of people that are involved with the Game Awards, as far as the people that are nominating these games, you have great places like Newsweek, and Entertainment Weekly, some random podcasts on here too. Look, I'm not trying to say that these people might not have their pulse on the video game industry, but I feel like there are better candidates for people that should be nominating things. People that I wouldn't put Cyberpunk in the best RPG of the year. But of course, one of the main things about the Game Awards is the fact that there's big reveals, there's big announcements, there's big surprises that tend to happen at these, and one of those companies involved is usually Nintendo. Now, Nintendo, to be honest, has done some big stuff at the Game Awards before. They of course announced Bayonetta 3 as being a thing at the Game Awards. They showed off a trailer for Bayonetta 1 and 2 double pack, which ended up coming out. Of course, we got DLC for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild as well that was revealed at the Game Awards. So, you know, there is a precedent for Nintendo to be working with the Game Awards and to do something potentially exciting at this event. Well, this all is coming from just a very weird place, and I sort of want to explore what is actually going on. So all of this is stemming from the following tweet that was done by Jeff Keighley. Just saw the final cut of the Game Awards world premiere we have been working on with the developer for 2.5 years. Truly honored we are entrusted to share this work with the world. 2.5 years sounds like a long time, but summer of 2019 was actually my last global tour to visit developers. I always have so much fun visiting studios and hearing about their projects. Hope to do it again in 2022. Now, on the surface level, that seems like an innocent enough tweet. Obviously, Jeff is going to be hyping up his own show. He wants people to watch it. And by saying that, a trailer that's been in development for like 2.5 years, a big sort of premiere trailer, is obviously going to be a very big thing. So what the hell does The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and specifically Breath of the Wild 2, have to do with any of this, is what you should be saying to yourself right now. Somehow, some way, a lot of people are correlating this tweet with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, saying that this is a leak, that Breath of the Wild 2 is actually going to be at this event. It's going to get a big unveiling with a gameplay trailer, and this is the place for it. So I sort of want to talk about the case for it and against it as far as this announcement being The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. Now, when it comes to for it, yes, you could say that Zelda stuff has happened at the Game Awards before. We talked a couple weeks ago about how there was the potential for something Breath of the Wild 2 to happen at the Game Awards because people are expecting something Zelda to be coming at this event. Now, of course, Zelda is a very broad term, and I came to the conclusion that I felt it was going to be a stealth drop for Majora's Mask on the N64 Virtual Console service. That's the thing that makes the most sense. Like, it's something that we know is coming. It's something that could be included in the Zelda 35th anniversary, celebration. So why do we all of a sudden just go directly to Breath of the Wild 2 when there's other things within the Zelda universe? Of course, we have to look at the source of that rumor as well, a Twitter user by the name of Samus Hunter, who, I mean, their track record's not great. You know, it's not great. You know, there's a lot of mistakes in there sometimes, and a lot of questioning about things that shouldn't be questioned by them. So I didn't necessarily believe that it was Breath of the Wild 2. However, I guess you could sort of make the case that, hey, Nintendo did the Breath of the Wild DLC at this event. Maybe they would do something like a Breath of the Wild 2 here. Of course, we saw Breath of the Wild 2 at E3 2021 this year, but there wasn't any sort of Breath of the Wild information at the latest Nintendo Direct that happened back in September. So people are sort of thinking, well, you know, we're sort of due for some information on here. What better place to be than at the Game Awards? Because I don't know, people take the Game Awards like way too seriously. I don't understand why the Game Awards is taken as gospel. Like, it's Newsweek and Entertainment Weekly telling you what the best games of the year were. Like, Jesus Christ, man, people take this way too seriously. But there is some sort of precedent for it to be a Nintendo related announcement, and it could potentially be The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 because of the timeline of things. But you know what? I'm like 99.9% sure this has nothing to do with Breath of the Wild 2, and it's simply people trying to drum up interest in their channel and to get views. And I get it, that's the name of the YouTube game, you want people to watch your videos, but this just seems like such a reach because there's many other titles that fit this criteria, something that's been worked on for a long time, something that Jeff Keighley would want to unveil, something that Jeff Keighley would also want to hype up because he wants people to tune into his show so that he can make money. I really wonder what that dude's net worth is. He's got to be worth a lot of money. Have like this big ass mansion in Canada with maple syrup and poutine and all sorts of stuff like that. So what game is it more than likely going to be if it's not Breath of the Wild 2? I've actually asked some of my inside sources that I talk to from time to time if they have heard anything about this Jeff Keighley announced game going to be Breath of the Wild 2, specifically what Jeff Keighley was talking about in this tweet, and they all told me just flat out no. Now, as far as what game I think it's actually going to be, I think it's kind of, you know, up in the air, but if I had to take a guess, I would say Hellblade 2. Think about it. Hellblade 2 is a game that we saw like a preview trailer, and then that was it. We haven't seen any sort of gameplay from this. Supposedly it's coming out sometime in 2023. What better place to show it off, especially if you sort of sped up development on that game, and maybe now it's a 2022 title, than at the Game Awards. Obviously, Microsoft had a very solid year, a really strong end of their year with games like Halo Infinite, and of course, Forza Horizon 5. So why not keep that momentum with a game like Hellblade 2 at this event? That's a game we know about, but we haven't seen anything from. Of course, it could be a Sony title, and it could indeed be a Nintendo title, but I just don't get why. We're bringing this back to Breath of the Wild 2, because there's no information out there that should make you and lead you to believe that this has anything to do with Breath of the Wild 2 being at the Game Awards 2021. Because yes, I mean, we got DLC for Breath of the Wild there. I get it. Zelda has been there before. But like I said, more than likely, if anything Zelda related happens at this event, it's going to be Majora's Mask getting a stealth drop for the N64 Virtual Console, because we already know about it. We already know this game is coming to the Nintendo Switch Online. I think the Game Awards are kind of silly at the end of the day, because really it's just a bunch of random outlets' opinions on what the best games of the year were. At the end of the day, it's not really about the awards, because if it was really an award show, every award would be given on stage with the people giving a speech or something like that. They wouldn't just cycle through, 4 or 5 awards through rapid succession to get to a musical performance or something like that. I don't hate the Game Awards. I don't hate Jeff Keighley. I just think the way that the Game Awards are handled as far as a metric of success is absolutely ridiculous, because really there's no reason for it to be held in such a high degree. I honestly would rather trust, some of my homies giving out review scores to games more so than the industry-wide stuff, because I thought we all hated this industry websites and stuff like that. But when it comes to the Game Awards, no, we love them and their word is bond, right? So those are my thoughts on the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 leak that everyone seems to be talking about. Once again, no hate to any content creators who are making this distinction, saying that there is some sort of, reasoning to think that Breath of the Wild 2 is the game that Jeff Keighley is talking about. It's just me personally, I don't think that is the case. I don't think this has anything to do with the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, but if it does, I'll gladly be wrong, because I would love to see more from that game. I'm just not getting my hopes up about it, and you probably shouldn't either. But let me know in the comment section down below what you think of this leak. Do you think it is going to be Breath of the Wild 2? Do you think it's going to be Hellblade 2? Or do you think it's just going to be some random small indie game about cats dating or hamsters dating? I actually have a friend who's making a hamster dating game because she's just weird as hell, man. She's weird as hell. And as always, thank you guys for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like and share this video as well to give my interpretation of how to take this Jeff Keighley tweet instead of the maybe over sensationalized things that we've seen on YouTube the past couple days. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.